Hello everybody! Today we're going to continue our work with solving division problems using an area model. And today we're going to take a look at what that looks like when we do have remainders. Mondays and Tuesdays problems all were problems that were evenly divisible with nothing left over. And today we will have some leftovers. So let's get right into it. The first thing I want you to notice is that the questions are worded slightly differently. The instructions are worded a little differently this time. So let's take a look at what that looks like. It says solve 37 divided by 2 using an area model. That hasn't changed. We're still going to use that. Use the distributive property to record your work. So notice at this time we're not being asked to draw a number bond. That was simply so that you could get the hang of recognizing that you can take those those dividends and break them up into parts. I think you've gotten the hang of that now, so we don't need to draw a number bond anymore. But we do need to show our work besides just drawing the area model. And we can use either partial products or partial quotients. Okay? And in this case, I think we'll probably be using mostly partial products, though it's possible you could show it as partial quotients you may decide to show it as partial quotients as well. It's totally up to you. So let's take a look. We have 37 divided by 2 using an area model. And remember, when we hear area model, we're going to think rectangles. Now, because these are all ones that are going to have a remainder, I know that it's not going to make a nice, even rectangle. Remember when we did multiplication with an area model and we had some like leftovers on here? Remember when we kind of did that? That's what we're going to have today. So we know that we're not going to have a perfect rectangle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by thinking about 2 times what is going to get me close to 37. Remember this symbol right here is about. So I'm saying I want to know what's going to get me as close to 37 as possible. And I'm going to think about all of those multiplication facts that I know really well that's going to get me super close. So you might say, well, I know 2 times 10 would get me to 20, right? That looks like it's getting us close to 30. So I'm going to use that, and I'm going to show on my area model, I'm going to get rid of this rectangle, and I'm going to show a 2 by 10. Okay, I'm saying 2 times 10 will get me to 20. Now, I'm not at 37 yet, so I'm not there yet. But now I can think, okay, I've got 17 left because I'm at 20 and I need to get to 37. So now I can think 2 times what is going to get me close to 17, right? What's going to get me close to that 17? Well, I know 2 times 8 is 16. I know 2 times 9 is 18. So I know that I can't get something to equal 17. It's not evenly divisible. So I'm going to choose the one that gets me as close to it as possible without going over. And that's the key, guys. You can't go over it. You have to stay under. So I'm going to think, okay, I know 2 times 8 gets me to 6. It gets me 16. So I'm going to show that on here as well. I'm going to tack it right on. Whoa, not like that. Sorry, guys. And I know this would be an 8, and that's going to get me a total of 16. I know 20 plus my 16, these guys right in here, gives me my 36. And I know that I still have, whoops, I wrote the wrong number. I'm at 36, and I still need one more to get to 37. But that's not evenly divisible by 2 unless we go into fractions and decimals, which we are not doing today. Okay, so I'm just going to tack it right on as the extra one. So my divisor, or my quotient, okay, is going to be what did I have to multiply to get up there? So my quotient is going to be found right here with my 10 and my 8, my 10 plus my 8, to make my 18 for my quotient with a remainder of 1, right? Here's my 18 in the red and then my added 1 on top of it. And then we want to check our work. So 18 times 2. Well, I know 10 times 2 is 20. 8 times 2 is 16. 20 plus 16 is 36. And 36 plus 1 is 37. Notice this right here is exactly the same as what we did over here. Okay, so we're working our way up. Let's take a look at another one. 76 divided by 3. Okay, so I'm going to use 76 divided by 3. And I'm going to think again in terms of rectangles. What do I know? What factors can I think of, or multiplication facts can I think of that I know really well? And I'm going to go with tens. I'm going to try to think of how many tens or sets of tens I would need to get as close to 70 as possible, right? So if I think about that, I've got 3 times 10, that's going to be 30. And you can do this on your paper. You can list these tens you know. 3 times 20 would get me 60. 3 times 30 would get me 90. So which one is going to get us as close to our 76 as possible without going over? That's going to be this one right here. So I strongly suggest you kind of list those factors. Think about what you know, or those facts, and think about what you know and what might be useful. Okay, so I'm going to draw my first rectangle then, and I'm going to say I know that my total inside will be 60. I'll have 3 here and 20 here. And then I'm going to write my fact. 3 times 20 equals 60. Okay, I'm going to keep my 3 on the left, my divisor on the left, so that I know that when I'm looking for my quotient at the end, the red part here, that I know I'm going to have to look down the middle, okay, for my quotient. All right, so now I'm at 60. How much more do I need to get up to 76? Okay, that's going to be 16. So now I want to think of any 3 facts. Let me move this over here. Maybe I'll put this down here. I want to think of any 3 facts that might get me close to 16? 16. So I know, let's see, I know 3 times 4 is 12. That's pretty close. 3 times 5 is 15. I know, well, 15 is really close to 16, isn't it? I know I can't fit another 3 in without going over. So this must be the fact that I want to use here. 3 times 5 is 15. So now I'm going to write that here. 3 times 5 equals 15. Okay, now I've got a total right here so far of 75. That's really close to my 76. Right? So now I'm going to think, what do I need to add to my 75? I've got 60 plus 15 to equal the 75. What do I need to add to my 75 to equal 76? And I'd have to add 1. So my answer, looking down the column here, I had to multiply by 20 and I had to multiply by 5. So my quotient ends up being 25. Don't add this part, okay? This is just to see what our total ends up being. So my quotient I know is 25 because I had to multiply by 20, multiply by 5, and then my remainder is going to be 1. And I'm going to make sure I show that on here. So then I did a 3 by 5 to make the 15, and then there's my little extra guy that I had to add on, so that I had a total of 76. Okay, let's take a look at one more example just to make sure you're getting the hang of it. We have 48 divided by 3. So once again, I'm going to start thinking about what facts do I know multiplied by 3 that are going to help me. I know 3 times 10 is 30. I know 3 times 20 is 60. I also know, let's see, I'm looking at an 8 in the ones place, so I'm thinking about, okay, 3 times 5 is 15. That's always a helpful one to know, anything times 5. Maybe I'll need to know 3 times 6 is 18. So I'm listing some facts over here that I think I might use. Now let's take a look. So I'm going to start with tens. How many tens can I do that gets me as close to 48 as possible? Well, I can use 3 tens, right? So I'm going to do 3 times 10 to equal 30. That's going to get me as close as possible. I can't do 3 times 20. It goes over. It's too much. So now I have 30 out of 48. So I'm now looking for 18 left. So now I'm going to think about my other facts. 3 times what might get me to 18 or might get me close to 18? Well, in this case, look at this. 3 times 6 is 18. And 30 plus 18 is 48. So my quotient is right here, 16. Do I have any remainders? I do not have any remainders. So I'm going to make my area model to show that I did this. And you should probably make your area model as you're going. I'm not modeling perfectly. And then I'm going to put my 3 times 6 here to make the 18. So no remainder required in this one. And then I can check my work, 16 times 3. And if I look right here, that work is right here. There's no need to write it twice. Okay? So now you get to go try. You have several problems. Please make sure you show an area model and show your distributed property in some way. Okay? If you want to show it as a division problem rather than as partial quotients instead of partial products, let's take a look at what that would look like with this example. I would think about, okay, what fact do I know divided by 3 would work? So I could say 30 divided by 3 is 10, right? And then I still have 18 left, so I could think of it as 18 divided by 3. That's 6. So 10 plus 6 is 16, and there's my quotient. Okay, so you can write it either way, because remember that multiplication and division is closely related. Go ahead and give it a try for yourself. Remember, this is not an acceptable area model. You must show me how you broke it up within your distributed property work. Good luck. Reach out.